Hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you for joining me here today. We're taking a look at Trias. Now this is a technical analysis, no fundamentals whatsoever, just looking right at the charts, making sure we help you find a good entry point, and of course, how to stay profitable in this market, right? So we all want to know. I have a lot of experience, I have years of experience essentially in the industry, and I can tell you that I'm going to always point you in the right direction and give you good sound advice. But just know I'm not a financial advisor, and this is always for educational purposes only. I always recommend you do your own research. Okay. Now, if you're interested in $25 in Bitcoin from Voyager, please feel free to reference that in the link below, as well as a link to our Telegram community so you can get engaged and learn as much as you can, and communicate with myself if you'd like to do that, right? So we all want to have open communication. That's the best way to learn, and we have an awesome community, so feel free to join that if you'd like to consider. Moving forward, let's go ahead and just take a look right at the video. No need to waste any more time. Let's check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at Trias, see what's going on, and as per usual, we always take a look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first to understand what the market is doing right now, because Bitcoin's been a little funny lately. But I think it's important to know that. So we'll take a look at that first and then dive deeper into the technical charts for Trias. Let's take a look. All right, so first things first is Bitcoin. So taking a look at Bitcoin here. What do we see that was unfortunate today? Yeah, this little sell-off here to break the potential support of 57,000, right? It's hard to say what's going on. It keeps getting tested right here, but this is a state of indecision. If the price can come above 57,000 and stay above, we'll be looking at being in pretty darn good shape. Okay, so that's awesome news there in the sense that it didn't come down super far. It's been able to recover. We take a look at the 15-minute chart. It got down as low as about 52,000, broke the previous support of 53,300, and now it's ramping back up to right in the range about 56,500. So hopefully just a little bit higher, we'll be in pretty good shape there, but that's kind of what's going on with Bitcoin right now. Again, kind of standard for Bitcoin, if you ask me, kind of normal, but this did impact a lot of things today. So a lot of things that had good, strong momentum, like Ethereum Classic and a few others, they really stopped, slowed down, and sold off based on this happening. So that's kind of a bummer, but it does happen sometimes, and that's essentially where Bitcoin is. Once again, this is a 4-hour chart, just so you understand what you're looking at. It's a 4-hour chart for Bitcoin. Ethereum, same scenario. This is the 4-hour chart here as well. As we can see, the price is extremely high as per usual, right? So we're just kind of getting used to Ethereum being top heavy, I guess you could say. It's hard to anticipate if it's going to come down yet or not. I think it'll stay this way until Bitcoin has it decides it fully wants to sell off. But as if you might already not know this, when Bitcoin sells off and the price comes down, people jump ship and go over to Ethereum in most cases. That's kind of the secondary stop because it's the largest altcoin outside of Bitcoin. So you'll see that happen a lot. But anyways, this is essentially the state of Ethereum right now, just so you know what it's looking at. This is the 4-hour chart as well. All right, so the last thing we want to take a look at here, the reason why we're all here, is Trias. So we're going to take a look at the 1-day chart first, work our way down to the 4-hour, and then the 15 and 1-minute charts to kind of identify a good entry point for you. Now, just to quickly note here, this is the markings that I had from before. We had a wedge pattern forming, and it broke out just like I'd hoped for, and it even broke past the previous resistance line. So that's great news, and in fact, the price did and is still currently above the previous all-time high of $8.98. Yeah, $8.98. You could just say $9. It's hovering right around $9.20, but it hit $9.43 approximately earlier today. So this is a really good sign. This basically shows that Trias is here to play. And as you can kind of see these wedge patterns here, just quickly note, we have a very similar pattern over here too, whereas you have this price here. And there was a nice little wedgie poo here that kind of worked its way down and came up eventually. So no surprise that this just happened again, because it tends to, it's essentially repeating itself now. Trends don't have to repeat themselves, but they commonly do in crypto. So just bear in mind that's likely what's happening right now, is just kind of a repeat pattern. We might see this rinse and repeat 2 or 3 more times. It'd be awesome if it continued up, had a slight consolidation phase here soon, and then shot up again without actually having to wait a good 2 or 3 weeks in between the bull runs, if that makes sense. Anyways, that's what I see right here, just based on the 1-day chart. So again, similar patterns there, which is great. And then RSI is just note, RSI is creeping up over 70, not terrible, but that could lead into the overall sentiment being extremely overbought, and the price we might see drop down from there because of that. But again, the one-day chart, I don't put a lot of weight into that. The 4-hour chart, in my opinion, is the best indication of something of this nature here as far as RSIs and moving averages are concerned. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now. So looking at the 4-hour chart here, so what we can see first of all is that the RSI is still in comfortable range, not overextended completely, but it's getting there. And it didn't peak up over this here. So this is really good news, because a lot of times when you see the price jump up over, there's a massive retracement. Same thing happened here as well. Came up and it had to come back down. This red bar, I'm presuming, is from Bitcoin selling off today. Probably not a big impact. And what's awesome is the fact that it kind of corrected itself, because when the RSI doesn't go over 70, and just say it keeps doing this and it comes down and kind of keeps coming back up to 70 on the RSI, it can continue on a bull run for a very long time. We saw it with Ethereum Classic recently. It's really awesome when that happens. So just keep in mind that this momentum that we have right now, even though the RSI isn't over 70, if it were to peak up above 70 and stay below, we'll be in pretty darn good shape. I think we're still looking really, really good right now. So I like all these factors here. Also bear in mind too, we are over the 50-day moving average. It obviously worked as a support level here to drive the price up. And it could be tested again. I wouldn't say soon, but maybe in the next 24 to 48 hours if the price kind of goes dead on us. But hopefully, we see something similar to this ramp up and another ramp up as well. And then the moving average meets it somewhere up over here and continues to work as a support. But that's a really, really good sign. So all good things here on the 4-hour chart. Look at the 15-minute chart. Another thing to note here, which is nice, RSI is still under 70. And I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of haters out there saying, well, RSI is not everything. No, it's not. It's helpful though, right? It really helps you understand the general mindset of investors and how they view if it's considered overbought or oversold. It really helps you understand that. So to me, I put a lot of weight on the RSI because it just seems to be the most beneficial factor for me. So don't use it if you don't like it, that's okay. But I've had a lot of success with it. And what I mean by that is if you take a look here, for example, and I've given this example many times. If you're new to the channel, you can learn from this. We're looking at what? 73 for the RSI right here. It peaked up over 70, right? Look at the price, right? The price was right here and it had a massive retracement, right? So in a 15-minute period, the price came all the way down by almost a full 75 cents, and then it came back up and eventually closed right here. So what I'm getting at here is when the price comes up and over 70, and then the RSI is kind of reflecting that, that's an indication of the fact that you should likely consider trimming some off the top. At least that's usually how I do it. Or perhaps just consider, maybe holding on, but understanding the fact that it will likely retrace. Okay. Same thing happened here as well. Look, the second time it tapped over 70, we had a pretty large retracement, one of the largest ones yet. Now again, the momentum keeps the price coming up and then eventually came back down, but generally speaking, that is essentially what drives it. Also bear in mind too, some of this retracement here is because Bitcoin recently just sold off. Like Bitcoin has had kind of a rough little patch. That's what this little patch is here. So it's nothing to really worry about. I feel if Bitcoin had stayed above 57,000 and didn't do what it did earlier, drop 4,000, maybe 3 or 4%, then we'd have a much higher number here, and then the price would probably be a lot higher. So it's kind of a good thing, in my opinion, that happened, because it gave us an opportunity to possibly be able to buy into a smaller, lower number. But furthermore, it just really helps reiterate the fact that this is on, this has a good momentous trend. And with the price coming down a little bit, it slowed the RSI down, so people have a chance to catch up and it didn't get overextended too fast. I like it when currency does that. The other thing we want to look at here on the 15-minute chart is my favorite indicator. So if you're familiar with the channel, you'll see the volume weighted average price, which is the VWAP line. That's the red line in the center. And this one essentially, and actually I can maybe try to make it a little bigger. Does it do that? Yeah, there we go. Just so you can see it a little better. But the volume weighted average price is just a 24-hour moving volume. It's basically a price that's based on the average volume. So that's what the price should be at if if it was just slowly trending over the last 24 hours. So we're looking at that number. You can see the VWAP line was tested twice, bounced off, tested 2 or 3 more times. So it's working as a very strong support level right now. So I find that to be a very positive thing. Also, the upper and lower VWAP lines have been outside of their sorts. In other words, when the price comes up too high, too fast, these lines have a tendency of kind of bring the price back down. So these are standard deviation lines. Usually the price should stay within these lines. In crypto, you'll notice that the price jumps way above sometimes and then retraces back down. So the price came up over this upper line, retraced down, bounced off of VWAP, came back up, now it's above this as well. So what we should expect to see based on how this is supposed to work is for the price to kind of correct itself and come back down a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the price come down a little. And also bear in mind the 50-day moving average here is trending upward. It is working also as a support level, very similar to how the VWAP is working. Okay, it's just a little tighter because it's on a shorter time frame. So that's kind of how that works. So me personally, in this scenario, what I would recommend doing, because actually let's take a quick look at the all-time high. This is the all-time high, but did I mark the? Let's just move this guy up because that's the previous support. So this is the previous all-time high. So we'll put that there. And why I did that is because the previous all-time high, that was on the 21st of April, was $8.50. So I moved that there because of the fact that that creates the new support line. So if the price were to come back down, it'll have to test the VWAP, the 50-day moving average, and the support line to break down below. So we got 3 good positive indications here showing us that we're in really good shape if the price were to kind of come down. Now, me personally, what I usually like to do in scenarios like this, because again, there's been a lot of momentum, we had the retrace that came back up, I usually like to wait. Again, this is me being conservative. You don't have to do this, but I like to be conservative in the sense that I feel like the price, even though it's under 70 on the RSI, is still considered overbought. So I'd wait for the price to come down past the 50-day moving average, and what I want it to do is come down and test the VWAP and or support line and do that for at least 30 minutes. So we want to see 2 solid green bars closing above those lines, and then that would be a consideration for me to take entry. That's usually how I do it. Again, I'm very conservative, very safe. I'm happy with 1 to 5% gains every day. Some people will probably scoff at that, but honestly, I've grown my wallet very fast, exponentially because of it. Literally, it doesn't take a lot to grow your wallet if you just shoot for small goals. So that's how I like to do it. But if you're like kind of a trader that likes to just go, balls to the wall, then go ahead. That's fine. That's you. But I don't recommend doing that because I've been burnt so many times, and in crypto, things can reverse on you fast. The floor drops out, and you literally have no control over it. So what I mean by that is wait for the price to come down, and test the VWAP line. In other words, it needs to bounce off of this and hold above twice for no less than 30 minutes, and or the support level at $8.50. Once it's done that, you would essentially consider adding to your position, I would say somewhere in the range of 25 to 30%. And what I mean by that is just say you have $1,000 set aside where you want to do a short-term swing trade or a day trade. You would put in $250 to $300 right there. When the price continues up closer to your goal, you either add to your position if the momentum is looking good and the RSI is under 70, and then what you do is essentially start trimming and selling off as you get closer to your goal. So me, usually I add 2 or 3 positions in the first 1 to 3%, and then start removing that same percent as I get closer to my goal. So if my goal was just say 5%, then I would, in the first 2.5%, I would add to my position. I would essentially add probably just say 250 and then another 250, and maybe another 500 if I got good momentum. And then once I got closer to my goal, I would sell 500 as my first position, maybe sell half my position, and then another 250, another 250. Now, it may not seem like a lot, but if you get just say a 5% gain on $1,000 that you had invested, $50 isn't all bad, right? There's things that you can do to essentially maximize your benefit, and all in all, we're looking pretty good. So I would say that in this scenario, be safe, be careful, and make sure you understand what you're planning to do and do it correctly, right? Just be patient. Try not to be one of those crazy traders that jumps in with emotion. You cannot be emotionally unsound going into a trade. You got to be steady, ready, set, good to go. Okay, and be sober too. I know that sounds stupid and seems redundant, but sobriety makes a big difference on being a successful trader versus a non-successful trader. Anyways, that's really all I have for you today, so thanks so much for joining me here today. Hopefully you find this beneficial. I'll keep a close eye on Trias here because I know it's a fan favorite. Also one for me as well. I love to see this kind of growth. So just be, again, very careful with your entry and be smart and wise, and we'll see you in the next video. Let me know in the comments below if this either worked or what your strategy is too. Or hey, hit me up on Telegram. Let's go ahead and communicate. Let's figure things out. You guys have an awesome community over there. Once again, thank you. We'll see you again soon. Take care.